What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to TRU Raider Podcast. I'm your host, TRU Raider. I have not been on for a couple of weeks, man. There's been a whole lot going on in my life. It just kind of is what it is, man. I'm trying to get back to making some content. Life is interesting. Life on life's terms happens, and here we go, right? So there's been a whole lot of things kind of going on with the nation, but also there's been this kind of off-season silence after the draft. It's been very, very good, right? Like there's no big drama happening. There's no, bullshit. What we really have going on right now is nice and peaceful, and I really, really enjoy that, right? So I wanted to talk about today. We have some players who were signed, some players who were waived, a player who was released, and I want to go ahead and pull this up and go ahead and talk about it, right? So this is on Raiders.com. Raiders signed 6 players, waive/release 6 players. So right now, the Las Vegas Raiders have made the following transactions the club announced Monday, which is today, the 12th. So we have signed the following players: Jafari Harvey, defensive end from SMU; Ketron Jackson Jr., wide receiver from Baylor; Jalen Smith, linebacker, Notre Dame; Keyshawn Smith, wide receiver, SMU; Wesley Steiner, linebacker, Washington State; and Jonathan Sutherland, safety, out of Penn State. Now, when I saw this list, right, I'm like, who, right? I don't know who most of these names are, right? Jalen Smith, yeah, I'm familiar with that. He played for the Cowboys, signed with the Raiders in 2023, only played 1 game, had 2 tackles. So what does this actually look like, right? Who's coming onto the team right now? And so I decided I wanted to go ahead and let's take a look. Who are these players, right? So Jafari Harvey from the SMU Mustangs. He's an edge, 6'4", 252 pounds, and he's a UDFA. Basically, he had 31 total tackles, 15 solo, 16 assists, and 7.5 sacks with 2 forced fumbles in the 2024 season. Now, I'd be lying if I tried to say I know more about him than that. Obviously, this isn't somebody that we're bringing in to be a starter. This isn't some big splash move. This is depth signing. This is competition. And there's a whole lot of that that's going on with this regime with John Spytek and Pete Carroll, where they're bringing in players that are, they're putting competition at all these different positions, which is amazing to see, right? Because there's been too many times where I feel like we've had players that just kind of, it's almost like they get handed the job because it's like, well, we don't really have anybody else to compete with you, right? And I really like seeing that competition. But like I said, I don't think that this dude's fighting for a starting job, but you never know, man. Some of these, I mean, keep in mind, Jacoby Myers was a UDFA, and now he's a pretty amazing receiver. Honestly, he had over 1,000 receiving yards last year. So there's that, Let's go ahead and bring up the next player on the list, Keyshawn Smith. So Keyshawn Smith, wide receiver from the SMU Mustangs, 6'1", 191 pounds. So this dude, not any really big splashes. Like last season, he had 33 receptions, 527 receiving yards with an average of 16 a catch, 5 touchdowns. The year before, he had 392 yards, 15.7 a catch with 3 touchdowns. I mean, this isn't somebody who we're bringing in to be that X wide receiver or, even probably a starting role. But what they're doing is they're providing depth, they're providing competition. And I'm liking what we've seen so far with free agency and with the draft and stuff, of the character of the people that are getting brought into the building, right? And I feel like Pete Carroll and John Spytek have really focused on the character of players. And I don't know anything about any of these signings on their character and things like that. Awesome, man. Thank you for the gift, Jimbo. Thank you. Sent coffee magic, dude. Tell me, I need it, bro. But yeah, basically what we're looking at is another depth competition signing. And who's to say that any of these players even make the 53-man roster? Because we're not there yet, right? We are not there yet. So the next person on the list, we're going to go ahead and talk about Jalen Smith. So Jalen Smith, the thing about Jalen Smith, man, is that he was actually a player that I have friends and family who are Cowboys fans, and they're really, really high on Jalen Smith. But then he kind of just fell off, man. And like I was doing some Google searching, trying to figure out what exactly happened, right? And I couldn't really find too many clear details, which was pissing me off. But when I talked to people, a lot of people said, well, he was kind of injury prone. He came in from college with a pretty severe knee injury, and so he fell to the second round. But I mean, the dude was like, in 2018, 19, and 2020, he was ranging from 121 to 154 total tackles, a handful of sacks here and there, just all out looking like a very, very solid linebacker. And then in 2021 is where he fell off. He only played 4 games. And then from there, he hasn't played a full season since. He was with Green Bay after that. Then he went to the Giants for 2 years. And then he signed with the Raiders in 2023. And he only played 1 game, only had 2 tackles, didn't get a whole lot of run. And then he came in this weekend. I believe it was Friday or Saturday that he came in for like a tryout, basically. And I guess he came in and impressed and he won the job, which I like that because we have veteran presence in our linebacking room. Him and Devin White are both guys that were very good players that just kind of fell off their game. And there's an opportunity for a resurgence. There's a thing like linebacker, it's a lot of it has to do with the scheme, right? And so under Patrick Graham and Pete Carroll, I believe that these guys, if they're going to have an opportunity to have that resurgence in their career, I believe that we have the proper regime to do that. However, I'm not in a position where I honestly believe that him or Devin White are really gonna come out and just be a superstar all of a sudden, right? Both of them are getting up there in age, and it's just kind of, I don't think that that's what's gonna happen. Now, I hope that that's what happens, right? Because if that's what happens, that's what's best for us. But to be realistic, you know, at best, man, hopefully they can be pretty solid, man. Just Raiders, baby. Salute, salute. I need to say what's up to Raider Ryan. What's good, man? My lovely wife, Kayla. I love you. California Dave, what's up, Nation? What's good, man? So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next signing, and that's gonna be Wesley Steiner. Now, Wesley Steiner is another linebacker, and this dude played for WSU, and like his stats are really not great. 11 total tackles, 8 solo tackles. This dude did not get a lot of playing time, and so this is going to be just another guy that's battling for a roster spot. And he's 6'1", 242 pounds. This news broke and it was like exciting, right? And I got into it, and then when I looked into the players, I was like, basically what we're signing is a bunch of camp bodies, right? And I mean, I can't sugarcoat it. I can't try to make it sound sweeter than it is. Some people like to get all on that hype train and let's bang on our chests over some UDFAs, but it is what it is, right? So the last one is Jonathan Sutherland. So this guy's out of Penn State. He's a safety. And his stats decent on the total tackles, 38, 24 solo tackles. But past his defense, he really has never gotten more than 2 in a season. However, this dude, he's one of 2 players that ever in the history of Penn State to actually hold a captain position for 4 consecutive years. And so it's character guys yet again. Pete Carroll, John Spytek, all about these guys with character. So I get it, right? more competition, more depth. I like it because honestly, I'm not very confident in our safety room right now. And so, I, let's face it, anybody that's in the position to even get signed to the NFL at all, they are a good player, a good athlete, right? And it really, what really matters is what do they do when they get their opportunity. Like Max Crosby was very underrated, came in the fourth round, and now look where he's at now, right? Now these guys didn't get drafted in the fourth round or anywhere close to that, but that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. UDFA's sometimes pan out to be really good players in the NFL. So we'll see how this kind of works out, right? Let's go back down to this list from Raiders.com. And so it's talking about the players that got waived. So Dominic Boyd, tackle from Southern Georgia, has been waived. And honestly, I don't know anything about Dominic Boyd. But the more familiar names are Amari Burney, linebacker from Florida. Now, he's been on the Raiders for 3 seasons. He came in with the Josh McDaniels era. And honestly, Amari Burney is one of those names I keep seeing people today just kind of being like, oh, like I really thought Amari Burney was going to be like a guy to kind of get it done at the next level and this and that. And the thing is that Amari Burney was on this roster for 3 seasons and really made no splashes, really wasn't able to be in a position to get things done. And it's not a big shocker that a new regime, this would be Amari Burney's 3rd regime since getting drafted, and he just did not weather the storm, and that's kind of expected, right? Because after 3 seasons, if a player really isn't performing, why are they taking up a roster spot, I think that they did evaluations on him, and there is some speculation that's floating out there in social media about, like Matthew Butler is the next one, defensive tackle out of Tennessee, where he just really, I guess, didn't really have a great work ethic or attitude, and so there's speculation for the rest of these guys on was that part of why they're being waived, what really went into these guys getting waived. So also Tyreek McAllister, wide receiver, and McAllister I thought was going to have more of a special teams role. He did get some play time towards the end of the season, and he looked pretty good, right? But I mean, let's face it, we were limping along. And McAllister got an injury. Honestly, I can't remember what his injury was, but he was out for the rest of the season, which was only a couple of games, right? But it could be that injury is a little bit more serious than what was originally thought. That could be part of why. Also, it could be that they just like the other wide receivers that they have right now more. Because if you look at it, I mean, we drafted Jack Besh, we drafted Deontay Thornton, and Malott, right? He's going to be a wide receiver instead of a quarterback. And we still have like Trey Tucker, Jacoby, so where do all these guys really fit in this room? McAllister just didn't make the cut. And then Brandon Smith, linebacker out of Penn State. Honestly, I don't know anything about Brandon Smith. The other guy on this list is wide receiver Christian Wilkerson, which really makes things easy from like a content creator standpoint, because Christian Wilkerson, it just makes things very complicated, right? But honestly, this was a Josh McDaniels guy. He was a former Patriot, got brought in when they were trying to make us the Las Vegas Patriots and all that garbage. And honestly, he's probably going to end up going and signing with the Patriots. So he's been released because he's been in the league more than 4 years. So you don't get waived at that point. You get released, which means he can sign wherever he wants. So, I mean, these things aren't really that big of a deal. California Dave saying, I'm watching that UDFA linebacker out of Baylor. And, there's a couple of things going on with our linebacker room where, like, Amari Gaynor, right, was a guy that I was really confused last year that he didn't get more burn, because when he was on the field, he passed the eye test, right? It was like I saw him come on the field and he's a big dude, right? And so I was paying attention, like, how is he going to play? And the plays that I saw him in, I was really liking what I was seeing. And since it was a trash season anyway, I was really hoping that he was going to get some real live game experience, right? And they gave him hardly any at all, which was pissing me off. And so there's some reports coming out of camp that Amari Gaynor is really kind of stepping it up and impressing people, which I love to see. I absolutely love to see that. Some more reports coming out of camp is that, of course, Ashton Genty, rookie running back, is totally impressing in rookie minicamp, which is amazing. We love to hear it. We expected that, right? But the thing about Ashton Genty, man, is that he's honestly going to be one of those running backs that really makes a significant difference in the outcome of our offense, right? Because there's this whole thing that keeps going on, man, where, like, okay, so when I'm talking to people, even today, right, I went in for an appointment, and it was a doctor's appointment, right? And the nurse, the dude was like talking to me about football because this is what I'm wearing, right? And he was just like, yeah, but man, you guys are in the toughest division, da da da. And I told him, you know what? The Broncos and the Chargers only made it to the playoffs because we had Garner Minshew as our quarterback. And so since we sucked so bad, they were able to sweep us in the division, which gave them enough wins to make it into the playoffs. Because if we beat each one of those teams once, they're not in, right? So if you look at that, it's like we are upgrading from there, right? And he's like, well, yeah, well, who do you guys have as quarterback right now? And I said, Geno Smith. And he kind of looked at me like, mm-hmm. It's like Geno Smith is a ton better than Garner Minshew, right? He's a top 15 quarterback, which a lot of people don't want to agree with, but he's a good quarterback, right? And now, I don't think Geno Smith is going to come in and play some hero ball and just absolutely save the Raiders. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that he's going to play at a better level than Garner Minshew. Don't forget that we had no running game. Zamir White was horrible. Amir Abdullah, who was a very small third down back, was having to carry the majority of the load. Alexander Madison really didn't play great. So we had like the worst running game in the NFL. You bring in Ashton Genty into that equation, he's going to get close to 300 carries, if not more, in his rookie season. I saw a prediction that went out today where they were saying they were predicting Ashton Genty to get like 1,400 rushing yards in his rookie season. If he even gets close to that, amazing, right? That makes Geno Smith's job very, very easy. And then you have the likes of a Jack Besh, who was drafted in the second round. We traded back. Some people said, oh, we kind of drafted him a little high. Maybe that's a reach. The thing is that Jack Besh has amazing character. If you look at any of his interviews since he became a Raider, this dude, he does think highly of himself, right? But it's because he backs it with that work ethic. And out of rookie minicamp, there's a lot of good reports about Jack Besh and how he's playing, and that he's, consistently getting open, that he's caught multiple balls that are touchdowns. And I really think that you put Geno Smith with an Ashton Genty and a Jack Besh, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, it's looking pretty damn good. And on the thumbnail, we got Chip Kelly. Don't forget about me, right? And there's a reason why I put that, because when I talk with people, when I'm watching other content creators, when I'm watching all this stuff, like, I think that people forget that Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator on a championship winning team. And guess where their quarterback, Will Howard, was drafted? The 6th round. He didn't have a superstar quarterback. He did not have a first round quarterback. He did not have a second round quarterback. He had a 6th round caliber quarterback and went out there and won a damn championship. I think that counts for a whole lot, right? If he can coordinate this Raiders offense to be that caliber with a Geno Smith, with Ashton Genty, the best running back in this draft. Some are saying he might end up being the best running back in this league. I could only hope, right? I could only hope that that's what it turns into. But is he better than Judkins? Is he better than Travion Henderson? Yes. Do we have that two-headed snake? Nah, kind of, because Raheem Mostert is actually a very good back who had 1,000 rushing yards a couple of years ago, right? So let's not forget that we do have two very good running backs on this roster. I think that Chip Kelly is underestimated because of what things went like for him in the NFL when he became a head coach. And the thing is that he has said it very, very clearly that being a head coach is not his jam. And it's funny because I keep seeing all these content creators saying, oh, well, Pete Carroll's only going to be with us for 3, maybe 4 years max. And then Chip Kelly is going to take over for that. But Chip Kelly said it very clearly when he became a Raider that he found out that he does not want to be a head coach. He wants to be an offensive coordinator. That is where his passion is. That is where his heart is. And that's the thing. Actually, that's why I haven't been putting out content recently, is because I've been going through some stuff with my job, man. And honestly, right now, I'm out of work until June 2nd, which is actually a blessing in disguise. But a lot of that is like when we're working in an environment that we are miserable, we don't thrive, right? When we're able to work in a place that we absolutely love the work that we do, then we can actually thrive at what we're doing, right? And so Chip Kelly loves to be an offensive coordinator, and that's where he can thrive. Geno Smith is by far a better quarterback than Will Howard. So now we're giving Chip Kelly, who has proven that he is a very good offensive coordinator. We are giving him the best rookie running back that we could have given him. We are giving him an upgrade at quarterback. And also in the receiving room, man. Like, I don't think that Brock Bowers' rookie year was a fluke by any chance. I don't. And the opportunity to actually incorporate Michael Mayer, because let's face it, Michael Mayer is a very good tight end. And he's underutilized. This guy has been super underutilized since we drafted him. And I think it's kind of ridiculous that we're not taking advantage of that. We have two of the best tight ends coming out of college football in the last couple of years. I think that Jacoby Myers did not have a fluke of a season. Jacoby Myers is a very good receiver. Being able to take some of the pressure off of things with a good running game, and then adding Jack Besh in there, like, there's not enough football to go around to all these weapons. And I think that a lot of people are underestimating the weapons that we have on offense right now, because we seriously have some very good weapons. I'm personally happy with them. And yeah, we don't have the star wide receiver, right? Like, if we had Devontae Adams, would people be really questioning things nearly as much? I don't think so. I really don't. And so, okay, we don't have Devontae Adams, but it puts us in a position where we don't have to force the ball to a star wide receiver, right? You don't have to give the diva the ball. You can spread the ball around, and maybe everybody has a 500 or 600 yard season. Who gives a shit, right? Because putting the team first is what's going to actually get wins. I mean, far too often people believe that we need absolute superstars in order to have a winning franchise. And the problem with that is that these absolute superstars, they want their stats and they want their payday, right? And what happens is that, you see teams paying their star players, and then all of a sudden they can't afford anybody else. Look at Dak Prescott making $60 million a year. And that really puts them in a weird position, man. California Dave, thank you for calling me out on this one. Don't sleep on Thornton out of Tennessee. Dude is a lot better wide receiver than people were predicting. Okay, I've watched quite a bit of tape on Thornton, and I haven't watched nearly as much tape on all these guys as I wanted to. But Thornton, man, he really stood out to me because it's like, all right, he's 6'4", almost 6'5", and the dude runs a faster 40 than Trey Tucker. Holy shit, right? So we got this guy that's almost 6'5", running a 4.3 flat 40-yard dash. So now you got somebody that can really, I mean, his average reception was 25 yards. So you got somebody that can take the top off of a defense. And then he was actually on Graphic Raiders show, man. He did an interview on Graphic Raiders show, and that was a good show, right? Being able to kind of see more of who he is as a person and what he thinks about himself. And the dude was talking about like how, you know, people really believe that he can't run routes, and he's just like, I was being asked to do a specific thing at Tennessee. Like, that's not my whole game. My whole game isn't just stuck there. California Dave is saying, watch his tape from Oregon. I'm going to have to check that out because, like, what I see is a dude that, like, okay, when he would run that deep post, like, so many of those huge receptions, you'd see him cut up and boom, he'd cut across the field. And when he's cutting across, if you have a quarterback with an arm, which we do, Geno Smith has a hell of an arm that can catch him in stride, he is beating that defensive back probably every single time, honestly. At least 9 times out of 10. Plus, he's got the reach on him. When he catches those in stride, he is gone, dude. He is gone for the races. There is no catching that dude. I don't know, man. I'm feeling very good about the direction that this organization is going. And, you know, last year I was hyped, man. I was super hyped. And then Luke Getsy was like, well, we'll see if it's him or Justin Fields, right? But I was like, I believe that we can still get it done with Luke Getsy. And then we announced Gardner Minshew as starting quarterback. And I didn't want to backpedal, man, but it really took the wind out of my sails because it was just like, all right, he played good for the Colts, and, you know, maybe, and it, I had a whole lot of justifications and rationalizations for how maybe this could work, right? And so right now, I'm not going to get in some position where I'm going to like falsely hype up, you know, Geno Smith or everything in this regime, right? I feel like I'm coming from a very realistic standpoint of that things are very different. Like John Spytek, man, I really like John Spytek a lot. Him and Pete Carroll's connection is very, very evident. We saw it very clear last year that Tom Telesco and AP, they were not on the same page at all. Like those two dudes, it was very clear that they didn't even like each other, you know? And so when you have that kind of weirdness going on, or, you know, you have it to where like John Gruden's calling the shots or Josh McDaniels is calling the shots, and there's not that mutual effort that when you're able to have like true conscience when it comes to these decisions, it always works out better, right? It's like if I make decisions for my family that, you know, without their consent, right, without talking to them about it, things don't go very good, right? If I'm like, no, I know what's best for you, right, and they don't believe that that's what's best for them, well, then we're going to have some conflict. It's the same with coaching staff, right? When you have a coach and a GM that aren't thinking on the same wavelength and they're not headed in the same direction, then you have two people pulling in opposite directions, and it's not going to work out well, right? It does a trickle effect throughout the whole facility. So when those guys have that kind of cohesion, all of a sudden everything else operates a lot more smooth. The presser that came out with the rookies a couple of days ago, man, I was watching that this morning, and you know, I really liked how, yeah, Raider Aaron, Pete Carroll's known for that too. I liked how these rookies carried themselves, how they spoke, how they talked about what's going on in the building. Like, it really gave me a whole lot of confidence that, like, people really have their head on their shoulders right now in this Raiders regime, because in the past couple of years, man, we've had like these rookies that come in here and they seem very, very lost, like almost like things aren't being communicated very clearly across, you know, across the board. And like, you ever been in a job where it's like that, where it's like things aren't communicated very clearly, and so then you have like some people that are kind of lost and not really understanding like what's happening, and yeah, and not knowing their roles exactly. What is that, 5I1? Like when you have people that don't really know their roles, don't really know the mission, don't really know what their next move is, well, yeah, then you got a bunch of people that are just kind of bumbling and lost, right? But when you have people that it's very, very clear to them, this is my role, this is what I got to do next, like it makes so much of a difference. So much of it. I know it makes a huge difference in my life, right? Cones, are you feeling good about the O line? I'm actually feeling amazing about the O line. And I don't know if you actually, I haven't seen your name before, right? But so if you look at Colton Miller, a lot of people were trashing him, and so was I, right? Because I said that we should have packaged him in a deal to try to move up for Jaden Daniels. Now, I don't know if Jaden Daniels was ever on the board or not. That's a whole different topic. But I was believing that we needed to trade Colton Miller while he was worth something because he had that shoulder surgery, and I knew he was going to have a rough start. So he did. He had a very rough start to this last season. But what ended up coming from that is that Colton Miller, once because he missed a whole offseason, right? So once he got up to strength, he was healing from his injury. He got to a spot where he started playing to full form and he started looking very, very good. Around that same time is when they got some brains in them, and Andre James, actually, it was that Andre James got injured, and they put in Jackson Powers Johnson at center instead of left guard. Andre James was an absolute liability. If you watch the tape on Andre James, he would get beat so often that, of course, the left guard and the right guard, they looked awful because they're trying to compensate for Andre James' mistake, right? So then you put in Jackson Powers Johnson at center, and all of a sudden your left guard and your right guard play way better in comparison. Plus, we got rid of Cody Whitehair, and Jordan Meredith came in at left guard, and he actually played amazing. And I've seen people, even like Sanjit T was saying he doesn't really like Jordan Meredith, which kind of sucks because I believe Sanjit T, right? When he talks about linemen, he knows what he's talking about. But he really played good. And then Dylan Parham, I've always felt like he's undersized. He was a Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler pick, and I haven't really been sure about him, right? Now we brought in these other rookies. Oh, not to mention DJ Glaze did play really good as a rookie at right tackle. So you bring in Rogers and Jesus, his name is escaping me right now. In the third round, we drafted two linemen who were tackles in college, and bringing them in to have competition across the board. At least one of them is for sure going to end up being a guard and might end up being a starting guard for us. Plus, there was that other guy. Geez, man, I'm slipping names right now. That we brought in from the Bucks. That was kind of looking like a big pushover, but he's not my opinion. I said Rogers, but there's that other dude. But yeah, like, so we're putting in a lot of depth in our line that we've been lacking, and I think that honestly, this line is going to look pretty good. I really, really do. Let's see, Raider Aaron. Let's be honest, that's any rookie, bro. That's not all rookies. If you look at Ashton Genty, if you look at Jack Besh, um, right away, those guys know their role. They know what they're talking about. They seem locked in, right? If you look at last year, Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers Johnson, these guys were focused and locked in. when you're able to bring guys in the building that are really, really locked in and paying attention and putting in that work at the next level, that's the recipe for success. That's why you have all these teams that just kind of like seem to continue to get better or at least stay good, right? It's because they draft well. And drafting well doesn't mean you get the star player that's all flashy and fancy. Drafting well means that you get guys with the right mindset that come in the building and put in the work and continue to progress. Because so often we've had these first round guys, second round guys that come in the building, and the Jamarcus Russell effect, right? Or the curse, right? Where you have these guys that come in and they just are like, they played really good in college, they get drafted high, and they're like, oh, I made it. And then they stop putting in the work, and it shows, man. It shows really, really bad when somebody comes in and stops putting in the work like that. Now you have guys like Max Crosby that come in the league and they really, really put in the work, right? I believe Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys where he came in, he wasn't drafted at the top of the first round, right? Came in, he sat, he put in the work, and then boom. And then all of a sudden he is where he is, right? A lot of that really, really matters. And I really feel like the whole idea that, Pete Carroll said it in one of the press conferences before the draft of that they're not just looking for the physical talent, but they're also looking for who we're drafting as a player, right? Like their mentality and where they're at in that. And when you do that, and when you bring in these high character guys, all of a sudden you're in a position where these guys are going to have that work ethic. They're going to put the team first. They're going to be studying the playbook. They're going to know their assignments. They're going to know their role because they're paying attention. California Dave, looking forward to seeing JPJ after offseason with Max Crosby. And JPJ, he had some injury stuff go on last year during rookie minicamp and OTAs and all that stuff where they didn't really, really say it, but it was like speculation was that he was dealing with a concussion. And he did have some concussion issues in college. And then all of a sudden he gets brought into the, when he actually starts playing, and he has this helmet that's got like this front piece that sticks out further than any other helmet. They got JPJ looking like the juggernaut. And I don't know why nobody has been talking about this, but Jackson Powers Johnson is the juggernaut. Juggernaut. For those who don't know, let me pull it up. Those who do not know, the juggernaut. The juggernaut. Once he started running, nothing could stop his momentum. That one. Boom. Let's put a Jackson Powers Johnson jersey on that all day. Sorry, TikTok, I can't share a screen with you. But yeah, I mean, that's what it really comes down to, man, is that JPJ is an absolute monster, and he makes all the difference on this offensive line. And then you got to look at scheme, right? What's the offensive scheme? Our offensive line looked horrible under Luke Getsy. Our running game looked horrible. Our passing game looked horrible. Everything looked horrible under Luke Getsy. Now, you put in Chip Kelly. You upgrade at the offensive line a little bit. You upgrade at the quarterback. You upgrade at the running back a lot. And then you add a couple of receivers that are very good guys, right? There's no way that this offense does not look way better this season. And I'm here for it, man. I am here for it. I got to tell you guys, man, I got no illusions that we are like an instant Super Bowl team because we got Geno Smith and Ashton Genty, right? I'm not under that illusion at all. But the direction that this team is moving is the right one. It's the right direction. There's no question about that, right? Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, that whole thing was a shit show. It's such a huge shit show that it destroyed so much of what we got going on in our culture that AP served his purpose, right? I don't say, oh, AP was a waste of time, because he was not. AP came in here and he shifted the culture and he started moving it towards the other direction, right? But AP did not have the skill set or the experience to be able to really take this culture where it needed to go. But it needed to get broken up, right? It needed a shakeup, and AP did that. And then Pete Carroll and John Spytek can pick it up where AP left it and really clean that up and really get it moving in the right direction. I'm pumped about it, man. The world of Zeke, we have no choice but to be here for it. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. We ain't no hood hopping, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen people just totally give up on teams, man, and I don't see that in Raider Nation. I really don't. Like, I don't know a single Raiders fan that's like, yeah, I gave up on the Raiders and now I root for this other team. I have seen people that are like, I love the Raiders, but I don't watch anymore because I'm sick of getting my heart broke. I have seen that. Let's see, California Dave, when's the last time our OC lasted a whole season? The fact that we've had multiple OCs over the last 2 seasons is bad enough. I got this one. When was the last time that we had an OC that was like, yo, that guy is a legit offensive coordinator? Not anytime recently, man. Not anytime recently. Being able to say Chip Kelly is a legit offensive coordinator. Kevin the Lurker was good, man. High character athletes who love football. And that's what it's about, man, because some of these, not everybody who makes it to the NFL loves football. Let's face it. A lot of these guys, they love money. They love the attention. They love being able to, I'm the shit. The ego boost. Not everybody loves football who makes it into this league. So when you got some really high caliber, high class guys, like, I don't know if Jack Besh was somebody who they settled on or not, or if they moved back intentionally with the idea of picking him up, but I like what I see. Ashton Genty, I absolutely love what I see with him. All our Darian Porter, um, damn it, I'm gonna have to look up their names now because there's Rogers and then there's who's the other offensive lineman that we got? I keep forgetting his name, bro. So I'm gonna look it up because I'm not gonna pretend like I remember everything all the time. Grant, bro, Charles Grant. Damn, bro. And then we got Thornton, Tonka Hemingway. All of these guys like are high character dudes, right? They did not go off path with what they said, what they were looking for in players. And honestly, like, I can't say that there's a single one of these guys that I dislike, which is not very common for me because it happens a lot. Kevin, thanks, man. California Dave, have a good one, brother. You know, what it comes down to, man, is that every year, man, we got like rookies or free agent signings, and I'm like him though, like no, like why is this guy on our roster? Like what is going on? And I'm not really feeling that this year, man. I'm not feeling that this year, and I'm feeling very optimistic right now. So, you guys, I got a lot more free time on my hands. Um, so I'm the plan is to make more content, go live more often, my whole life just got shooken up. So things are a little out of whack for me, man. I'm trying to take care of me and my family. Get back on the content train. So you'll be seeing more of me. I'm gonna get going for today, you guys. But uh, one last thing before I go, man, is I gotta mention Derek Carr. Derek Carr did retire, right? And I just gotta say, I got nothing bad to say about Derek Carr. Do I believe it was time for us to move on from him? Yes. Do I think that we did it the right way? No. We didn't have anybody to replace him. But if us moving on from Derek Carr in the awful way that we did and having the shit show that ensued after that puts us in the position to have a Pete Carroll, to have a Geno Smith, to have the moves that are being made in the right direction. If him leaving from here and all that happened puts us in the right direction, I'm not going to be mad about it at all, right? More will be revealed on what actually comes from that. Like always, man, I love you, nation. I'll catch you guys on the next one.